plus fund, housing fund, unless you deal with corruption. That's what Lee did in Singapore.
Yeah.
That's what Lee did in Singapore. You fight corruption, seal the loopholes, and then you get money. In fact, what the government should be doing now is to release money to the market, seal corruption loopholes, have good governance, then this country can go back to its tracks. Uganda is our biggest trading partner. You know, the PM of Australia traveled all the way from Australia to China to go and, massage the ego of the Chinese, because that's their biggest trading partner. Now, if you are losing Uganda, you are losing your biggest trading partner through corruption, because you have cartels. What are you telling Kenyans, really? You are leaving Kenyans on their own, and you're going to have, this economy will collapse, Dibal. Why are we losing Uganda to our neighbor, Tanzania, when we have an oil pipeline? And unless I'm wrong, there's an oil pipeline that can take oil all the way to Uganda, and we are losing that to Tanzania. So what are we going to do with that pipeline, oil pipeline? We should be worried. I mean, that is a crisis. In fact, the president should have flown to Uganda to engage Museveni, because we are losing your biggest trading partner. You are literally watching your economy collapsing. So unless we see the president take the front, the lead, I know how anti-corruption works. You know, they are not sure whether the president is still friendly to these ministers. They are waiting for signals. Yeah, they are waiting for signals. But if the president had taken action, by now you would have seen serious investigations ongoing. But now they sit back and say, that still is the president's friend. We should not take any action. You can't fight corruption with gloves. It must be gloves off, vicious against anybody, whether it's your friend, whether it's your political ally. You put that aside, and then the country can see a transformation. Unless we do that, it's going to get worse. The way you have put it here, Kenyans are on their own. Now, on the impeachment of Mwangaza, Dibal, there are two ways you can, Manzo will tell you, under Section 33 of the County Governments Act, you can deal with impeachment of a governor either through a committee or through plenary. And their presidents, people like Governor Waititu of Kiambu, his matter was handled through plenary. Governor Iguru, it was through committee. Governor Samboji of Taveta, it was through committee. Sonko, it was through plenary. So I think on the case of Mwangaza, Kagwira Mwangaza, the first impeachment was through a committee. So the Senate, I think, felt this time around that since the first process went through committee, let's try this second process through plenary, so that you give all senators a chance really to make a decision. Personally, when I look at other countries like the US, when it's an impeachment, when you are trying a president, the entire Senate sits as a jury. They don't go committee way. Okay. It is the entire Senate that sits to cast a vote on an impeachment of a president. That's what happens on the case of Trump. That's what happened in the case of President Hillary Clinton. Of course, Nixon resigned before a vote was taken on the Senate. So there's nothing fishy. The only thing is that we must also be alive as senators, that we must be just, we must be fair. This is somebody who her career is in politics. The standard that the Constitution has put in place is for us to ensure that anytime we receive an impeachment from the County Assembly, there must be collaboration on all the charges, or at least one of the charges that she's facing. Then we can pass our verdict. So let's give Kawira Mwangaza a fair hearing. That's a trailblazer. She's one among 4 women governors elected, not affirmative, but a popular vote through the people running against men. So let's give her a chance. Let's hear what charges are facing her from the people from the County Assembly of Meru. And then tomorrow when we pass our verdict, let's also demonstrate to the country that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya can sit as a High Court of Kenya and pass a verdict on a governor who has been brought before them for impeachment.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have also women lawyers who are offering Mwangaza free legal aid. As you, Senator, you're waiting to impeach. We have the Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA,
That's okay.
which has offered the Meru governor free legal representation at state.
You cannot deny
Yeah,
you can't deny that, right?
Yeah. So if the matter escalates to the court, she will be represented by the legal organization.
Yes.
But there seems also to be a lot of political interest in this particular matter. It's not just because of Mwangaza's high-handedness, as they put it, some of the MCAs, and incompetence, as they put it. Is there anything that will stick, that will really amount to a gross violation? Just listening to some of the allegations that have been put forward, nothing really sounds like it can stick. What is a gross violation, according or from your own assessment?
Yes,
and can we also juxtapose that with the political interest around this particular issue?
Yes, I'll just give you a test of it. First of all, she's accused of not appearing before the county assembly. Article 185 is clear that it is the CECs who are summoned by the county assembly. In fact, a county assembly cannot summon a governor unless during impeachment, of which she can decide to appear in person or send a lawyer. So when you look at the charges, really, I thought we should have had something stronger. If you are accused of misappropriation of funds, there has to be an audit, either an internal audit or external audit. Without that, really. So when you look at it, for me, I think it's more politics than anything else. And now that the deputy president contained Kiambu, and him and the president were in Meru, they should have sorted out this matter in Meru. But Meru generally is very allergic to women leadership. In fact, it was very difficult to have an elected woman in Meru, probably out of their culture, before the new constitution, where you could have a woman elected to represent a county. And that's one area Mwangaza was elected, and it's very tough. I remember in 2007, one time there was a lady interested in running for MP in Meru, and she got a ticket through ODM Kenya, where I was chair. And as soon as she went to the campaign, it was very rough for her. She was beaten up, her hair was cut, and she was forced to eat it. And you know, when her son tried to help her, eventually was killed, from the report I got. And she was really assaulted in a very bad way, and an organization took her to Canada, and she has never come back. And of course, that tells you how rough even the election itself is. So the case of Meru really needs the politics in it. But as Senate, we need to be fair in every aspect. I am very sure if the politics still play, and I believe that's part of why the president is meeting his team this morning. And the women seated in State House now should also, you know, you know, the direction it is taking is that you are weakening the woman leadership, you are weakening child, you know, the girl child is watching this, not only in Meru, in Kenya, but the whole world. So I think there should be fairness, and emotions should be removed out of it. There are quite a number of people interested to become governor. It's very intriguing. And I think the president today should you know, ordinarily there is political party position. He should declare that there is no political party position in this. Let every senator go and vote with their conscience. At the moment, the staying of Mwangaza will largely be dictated by the president himself and his deputy, by the direction they will give. But so far, Honorable Alwale had confirmed that the president had said there was no particular direction, and there was no party position, and people were going to vote by their conscience, and I believe that should be the case, so that she's given fair judgment. You know, an impeachment means that you are sentenced to death politically. You will never be able to run for any public seat. You will never be able to be nominated to any. You will never be able to become a minister. In fact, after so if you look even at the song of impeachment, it was political onslaught. And serious money was used to send Sonko packing. And the politician who was liked by people is at home, not serving the people anymore in that capacity, but in different capacities. So I think even the whole impeachment process should be looked again. If you are elected, let me wind it up. If you are really popularly elected by people, and they say now the governor of Meru is very popular with the people, then a few of us come and send our packing. Then what happens to the decision of the people?
Right.
I think that's something we need to look forward in future when amending the constitution.
So what we're seeing is maybe their political interests are vested in this, as we are hearing from you and the rest of us. And the way to tame Kawira Mwangaza is the fact that if she's really popular on the ground, then just go through the impeachment process. She gets impeached if this will happen. And then that will just sound a death knell to her political career. And that will give a sporting chance for other, people who are aspiring to be governors within the Meru community. You'll have now warded off Mwangaza, who is the impediment moving forward. So we should see. I understand, and I was speaking to some senators who are saying this, they're receiving a lot of pressure, for this particular impeachment today. So when you talk about pressure, what do we mean by pressure?
There's political pressure.
There's political pressure. That means
serious political pressure from the political parties and from friends. We have political friends in Meru. We have people who know us, and they are lobbying day and night, at the leadership level. If you check, most of the MCAs come from the political party bus. So, she's elected independently. And you see a governor cannot survive without the MCAs, really. We are also awarded, then what's the situation in Meru if this is going to go on? Chances are high that if people vote with their conscience, she's going to survive. Chances are high that if we impeach her, the High Court is going to safeguard her, just like the case of Embu. And then she's going to be back there. So even my own advice to her is that she must find a way of working with the MCAs. There must be some accommodation so that, because even up to now, she has no CECs. She has no ministers. She has people who are in the county government acting as CECs. That can't go for 5 years. And this, she has to propose names to assembly, and the assembly has to approve these names. So for Meru to work, really, if this impeachment thing goes the way to go, and most probably court takes charge of it and sends her back, she must now sit down. I know some of our political statements have not been appreciated. She can become very comical as a politician, and that is allowed. She sometimes, cracks jokes against some of the leaders, like the senator there with his tag, the Kofia. And it was being called Kakofira, in Meru. It doesn't look nice. And I think she should make peace with the senator, make peace with the MCS, make peace with the other leadership. Maybe reduce that comic if some Meru people don't like it, and become very humble, for her survival, But I understand she's very popular with the ground. So I don't know, it's a very sensitive matter, even for any political party and for any leadership. If somebody is so popular on ground and you use pressure, as there's a lot of pressure now, to send her packing, to sentence her to death, politically. What will you do to the people? How will you go back to Meru and do a meeting?
If you're influencing my conscience on how we should actually be voting on the plenary today because of pressure, it means also I don't want to say it's a party, but of course, those people who are putting or mounting pressure on you, also they're influencing your voting, which you're not really using your conscience. I just want to hear from Dr. Nikal, and I want to hark back maybe to where your docket as in gender, because you used to be a PS in gender at some point. And there has been quest even right now that we should have more representation in the House, especially where women are concerned. 150 more seats of affirmative action was being selected by the CS of gender right now. Not really, or being proposed by the CS of gender. So the question is, in light of all this, when you see the forces of culture, forces of all, of course, we're all human, and you have your own idiosyncrasies, you have your own weaknesses. You're not a team player. We are not getting alongside. We cannot really appreciate you as now our leader as a woman, because I think that also is a big impediment that we can see. Patriarchy really playing into this. From your own heart as the gender peers, what would you have done when we have such a case of Mawira?
I see three elements in this Kawira issue. I'll start with the one that you put before me, the one of gender. There's a gender element into this. Two, there is also party politics in this. And three, there's also the issue of the structural relationship between governors and MCAs. Let me start with the gender issue. Obviously, a lot of people still feel that women shouldn't be this, but in books, in our constitutions, in our laws, we actually have gone over that. We now have laws that actually protect women, that actually do affirmative action. So really, we should not see it in that context. But in the case of Kawira, I'm not so sure whether this gender issue is real, or it is the leaders that have actually ganged against her on party lines, and therefore even firing this, inciting people on the gender basis.
It's very subliminal. It is not very overt that,
Yeah, because if you look at it, at the same time that this was going on, the opinion poll showed that she was doing very well. 63%. So therefore you see there's a discrepancy between what the people on the ground are feeling and what the people who call themselves the leadership of Meru are saying. If she was that unpopular on the ground, which should be reflected amongst the leaders in Meru, then that discrepancy we should not have seen.
She was number 4.
Yeah. So in terms of gender issues, I think as much as it's there, it may be more amongst the leadership in Meru who feel she should be there, maybe more on party lines, and therefore it's provoking and inciting the gender issue. Because the infotrak that do these things, actually, they talk to the people. So what you get that she did very well, it means she's popular. It also proves she's popular because she actually won as an independent. Now that brings in the party issue. With party politics, if you do not belong to any party, and most of the MCAs you have are from parties, I think she's the one who, like we are saying, is on her own. Because all the MCAs, I think, are there's party mobilization. I'm sure anytime there's an issue, the MCAs will be mobilized on party lines, and the party leaders are the ones that she beat in the election. You think when they are out and mobilizing their parties, they'll mobilize in her favor? No, they'll be actually pushing the MCAs that we should want. I think there's a report that they even said earlier on that even if she wins, we will use the party system to throw her out. So there's party politics because she's independent. All the MCAs, maybe a large number I presume, are from parties. So she's where the ground of the MCAs has been controlled by the people she actually beat. So that puts her in a very precarious situation. Then you go into the structural arrangement. Now, MCAs and governors, the structure that we've had, I think it is Senator Aki working on it and it's changing, is that there was so much dependence on, in terms of power, relationship, influence, and resource distribution. The governors had so much power over the MCAs, and I think that was a problem. It's not like in the National Assembly where there is the Parliamentary Service Commission, so that the funds that run the Parliament it's totally different. We should have that with county assemblies, so that the Speaker actually controls and will decide if there are committees, if there are trips that people go on. It should be actually the county assemblies and their speakers. I think that would ease it a lot. Again, you know, we have been talking about ward fund. If there was ward fund, something which is also equivalent to NGCDF, again, there's a feeling in leadership, when even if just representing the people, there's a need to feel that there's something you are doing actively. And that is why national government constituency development fund is very popular, because it gives the members of the National Assembly a feel on the ground they have felt. Now, maybe if we have that ward development fund, which is not controlled directly by the governors, right now, even if there is the integrated county development programs, where the money is applied will be to a large extent by the CECs. So again, there they lose out. So they now put their anger, the only control they have over the governors is impeachment. So they'll hang this thing all the time. If they say, we'll impeach him, we'll impeach him. And it actually also comes, you know, they overuse it. So there's blackmail with it. So I think there is structure in it, there is the gender issue in it, and there's the party politics in it. But in terms of gender, I think it is being seen superficially, but deep inside, deep with the people,
right.
It's popular.
Are you sure, really, that, I mean, some things are so shameful? The way Manzo has put it, I hope it's not factual. I hope that's not what's happening this morning. That the UDA administration that said it will incorporate women leadership in its government has called a PG to discuss removal of a woman.
No,
I hope that's not what's happening.
And I believe it will come in as one of the topics.
That would be very unfortunate. You know, Dibal, issue of impeachment facing a governor who is a lady should be left to the Senate. You can't be a president who is telling the women of Kenya that you want them to prosper in leadership, and then I hope that's not. I hope they are discussing something else. It will be very unfortunate.
But the timing,
the timing, the perception. Politics about perception. Can we take a short break?
Even if we go to the Senate, they'll tell you we are in Parliament, the National Assembly and Senate. Party politics will rule supreme.
Right.
And
okay.
Hope that
Dr. Nyika, allow me just to batten, because when we circle back, I wanted to see, yes, if the independents, they don't have such a, what will I say, security of the structures of a party, because now when it comes now to voting, you're on your own. Right, people will vote according to their party or their affiliations.
There's a very big joke in Meru. There's a very big joke in Meru now on some of the, you know, going back on the gains you have made on women. There's a big joke. Some people in Meru asking for a lady to be a leader, she must be circumcised. So you know, it's such a bad thing socially. I think we need to not to go back into the gains we've gained.
I think that is way below the belt. She should say, we need to take a short break right now. When we circle back, of course, we continue interrogating that issue as well, and a raft of other issues. You're watching Siasa Fiesta here on Morning Prime. Just a tender reminder, as you have heard from our panelists, we have a status right now, the parliamentary group meeting of the Kenya Kwanza, who are meeting the president this morning to discuss matters of parties politics as well. We don't know what is actually the agenda of the meeting, but of course it has to do with housekeeping. Remember also they